to get your basic package down, you're going to find out there are 3 factors that create what I call your basic package. Okay? These 3 factors are what I call your anchor, and that's your pivot point in your hip girdle. If you look at your hips, there's 3 basic places you can rotate around. Your right hip joint, your left hip joint, or your center of gravity. All right, now everybody's taught, no, you got to load the right side. It's the only way to do it. Okay? Well, Hogan rotated around his left hip. Okay, Hale Irwin did it. Nick Faldo did it. Lee Trevino did it. Aloha Ball does it. You can go down a list of great players that did it. Well, if they rotate more around their left side than the right side, then how come everybody has to shift to the right sort of thing? Right? Well, they don't. Okay, it was just misunderstood. Look at players like David Duval, Ian Baker Finch, and Chip Beck. They all rotated around their left hip joint when they were playing their best golf. All 3 of them were convinced they needed change, and now they're all struggling. So it must have been a pretty important influence in their golf swing. Okay, why is it important to have that anchor or know where you're rotating around? Because your pelvis is not necessarily perfectly balanced. It may have more weight on one side than the other. Okay, ask Milton. I mean, everybody's anatomy is not some ideal picture like they draw in the books, is it? Yeah. So if your pelvis has more weight on the left side than the right side, it moves the center of gravity of the pelvis to the left. All right? And as soon as it is balanced more to the left than the right, it's going to want to rotate more around that side. All right? Now, these things come in sort of dimensions. If here's the center line of your body, if the center of gravity of your pelvis is to the left of the center line, but still touching the center line, then you're probably what I call left of center. You're not, fully rotating, what would look around your whole left side. Okay? You might be just sort of a little bit left of center like that. But it's still more what I would call left anchor rotation. If the center of gravity of your pelvis is to the right of your center line, okay, but still touching the line, then you're going to be a little bit right of center. Okay? If it's to the right of it, not touching it, well, you're one of those people that really looks like you load the right side. But that's how your pelvis is balanced, so you got to learn to rotate with it.
Are you talking do you see that mostly addressed by how much tilt you have?
That's a great way. Every anchor has a way of setting up that matches it. So, for example, if I'm a left anchor golfer, people get criticized for being left anchor golfers because something inherently tells them they got to rotate around their left side. But you see amateurs do stuff like this. Okay, well now we have bad posture. Okay, and one of the key factors of having a really sound biomechanical swing is that you have to rotate in posture. Okay? If you're not rotating in posture, you're not swinging. You could be a hitter just thrusting at the ball or a thrower where you're swaying, but it's not truly a swinging motion. Okay? Swinging actions are rotary actions. They're based on having as centered a rotary action as possible. So if you're a left anchor golfer and you want to have good posture, from a neutral position, all you would do is slide your hips slightly forward. Okay? I can still have primary and secondary tilt there. So, as Milton does in his therapy or his training, you have your primary tilt from your hip flexion, right? The secondary tilt is what your spine does, right? Well, if you're a left anchor golfer, what you do is the top end stays the same and the bottom end moves slightly forward. So now after I have my primary tilt, when I slide forward, I have secondary tilt, but not by tilting to the right, by shifting the lever to the left. You see? If I'm a right anchor golfer and I get into the neutral position, now from here I can move the upper body to the right. Now I've loaded the right hip joint. So now I'm doing a right anchor's version, but I'm also staying in good posture. You see that? If I'm a center anchor golfer, from the neutral position, because I don't want to just have primary tilt, I also want secondary tilt, this goes slightly forward and that went slightly back as I did that. You see that? Now, I train this stuff at home in front of a mirror until I don't think about it anymore. So when I get into my golf posture, I'm a center anchor golfer. This is slightly back, this is slightly forward. I've got my primary and secondary tilt, but I'm not thinking about manipulating myself to get there. Something's training, conditioning-wise. Okay?
Maybe you already asked this question. How do you test for that?
Okay, so how do you find the anchor?
How do you find your anchor?
Yeah, so we'll do that really quickly. Did you give her yours?
No, I gave you one down here.
Oh, from down there. All right. You're way ahead of me. Okay, great. So the way that we find our anchor is that we play golf shots off our left foot only with the toe of the right foot hanging back for balance, for example. And if I'm able to play shots off my left foot only, what happens is my head will counterbalance the activity. So by isolating one balance point, I watch what the head now does. If a student is standing here and they swing, and every time they swing their head goes back and they lose balance, I know that they're not a left anchor golfer because their head's trying to go over the right pivot point. If they're standing there and their head stays dead still, and it doesn't move because it's trying to counterbalance the pivot point, then I know that they're left anchor. Plus, it doesn't really matter what I know, they feel it. They say, wow, I can play shots off my left foot only, and I can't play shots off my right foot only. Reagan Lee today at the workshop at Pearl, I'm describing it, and before he even tried the right foot, he goes, I can't do that one. He says, I know I cannot stand on my right foot and do it. Of course, he tries one, and he's falling all over the place. So Stan Souza, a good friend of mine, took me 5 years to convince him he couldn't play right anchor golf. So we're playing a wildlife one day, and finally on 11th tee, he plays a tee shot, and he tried to load it right anchor, and he just kind of skanked it out down the middle. And I get out and I said, Stan, you can't play right anchor golf. And Stan, of course, I can do anything, and Stan. And so I said, okay. So we're at 162 yards to the pin. I pull out a ball, throw it on the ground. I said, I want you to play one shot off your left foot only. So he pulls out a 7-iron, left foot only, puts it up there 8 feet from the pin. So pick up another ball, throw it down. All right, feet together. Puts it up there like 15 feet from the pin. His balance point is just left of center. So he can go center angle or he can go left center. Okay? So throw another one down, goes right foot. Swings club grounds this far behind the ball, tops it, goes like 50 yards. I threw another one down, I go again. Well, I did this 5 times in a row. The furthest ball was 70 yards. Now, this guy is a great athlete. Played college, played for BYU, played the Masters, played on tour, won the club championship a lot. He couldn't make contact with the ball off his right foot only. That's how bad it was. And he immediately realized, I cannot play, that type of golf. So what you'll find is by doing feet together, you're testing whether your head will counterbalance the activity and whether you're a center anchor golfer. By doing right foot only, you'll test whether your head counterbalances that pivot point. By doing left foot only, you can test whether it counterbalances that pivot point. So I watch the head, and I watch them play each. I have them rate on a scale from 1 to 10. How good are you off your left foot only? How good are you with your feet together? How good are you off your right foot? If you are equally balanced, like my body is very symmetrical. I can do all 3. I'm best center anchor because I'm very symmetrically balanced. Okay? Off the right anchor, I'm like 80, 90, or 80, 85%. Off my left foot, I'm 70, 75%. If you can perform it to at least 70%, then you can actually play with it under pressure. However, I very rarely play a left anchor shot on the golf course, especially in a tournament. If I miss my tee shot, I got to hook it low around the tree, well, I might go left anchor. That's what I call being practical. It's a practical world too. Although there's an ideal system for your body, okay? Well, if you played a lot of baseball, and you don't have enough time to train in golf to become a perfect rotator, then maybe you'll have a little lateral motion in your swing. You'll be able to do it athletically also. The ideal goal is to keep working towards the perfect biomechanics. But we also need to be practical, as we go about it as well. Okay? So anchoring is one of the defining features. Okay? What it does is it defines how your lower body rotates. That make sense?